The UFC is back after a month break, and it is back with an absolute banger. Giga Chikadze v Calvin Kattar. And in this video, I'm going to be having a look how I think the fight plays out, and of course my prediction, which, by the way, spoilers, I think it's a little bit of a bold one. Before we jump into the video, if you don't know what I bring you at Casuals Corner, fight breakdowns like this, interviews with fighters, and daily, yes I said daily, MMA shorts. So get involved, hit the like and subscribe, and let's jump into the video. So before anything, let's have a look how the two match up in terms of their stats. On one hand, we have Giga Chikadze, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, and his stance is orthodox, but we know that he's going to switch that into a southpaw throughout the fight as well. And then on the other hand, we have Calvin Kattar, 5'11", so equally just as tall really, 72-inch reach and an orthodox stance as well. He doesn't necessarily switch too often, but he will step through with his punches in that orthodox stance and probably throw to the body, if not come over the top with short elbows that he likes. Now we can see that Giga's strikes landed per minute is 3.76, which is actually pretty conservative for someone like Chikadze. Striking accuracy 45%, absorbed per minute is 2.69, which is actually a very low statistic. Striking defense is very high at 61%. Takedown average, of course, he's not known for being a wrestler, it's 0.33. Takedown accuracy 33%, and submission average as well 0.3, which is something that I'm going to come on to later in the video. On the other hand, we have Calvin Kattar. Strikes landed per minute, he has a very high output. Strikes landed 5, 42% accuracy. Strikes absorbed compared to Chikadze's 2 is 8. Now we know for a fact that Max Holloway of all men has been ruining that statistic for many a year for many people. And we have a look at his takedown defense as well, 89%, a very good takedown defense, but I don't think we're going to see Giga shooting too much. Of course, the last time that we saw Calvin Kattar was in that demoralising loss to Max Holloway, which is almost nearly a year to the day ago. So the question is always going to be with a fighter like this, where are they currently at? Where are they? Where's their skill set? What adjustments have they made? First of all, he took the necessary precautions. He took a long layoff, which he needed to do. So now it's going to be interesting to see where his game plan's at for a very tricky customer in Giga Chikadze. On the other hand, we have Giga, who the last time we saw him was against Edson Barboza, and he has been steamrolling the featherweight division for quite some time now. He's flown under the radar, but he's on a 7-fight winning streak, which is very impressive in any division of the UFC. Now, in my opinion, this fight is going to come down to one thing: range. If we have a look at Giga Chikadze, there's no secret to his game plan. We know he has that karate, kickboxing style. He's going to want to stand a little bit further out of range and really get that kicking game going, which, by the way, is an exceptional kicking game. The thing that impresses me so much about Giga's striking, and you see it with all the highest level strikers in MMA, is their feint game. But not only their feints, the ability to sell their feints and all the nuances that comes along with that. The eyesight, the hip feints, the shift in their weight. It's very intelligent, and this is what makes Giga a very tricky puzzle for Calvin Kattar. With the dexterity that he has in his hips, with the feint game that he has, and with that karate background, it forces you to make the question, do I protect the head? Do I protect the body? The age-old question. And when the man standing opposite you has a thing called a Giga kick, which is designed to obliterate your liver, it's a question that you better think of quickly on your feet. We saw Jamie Simmons protect the body, and we saw how that ended. And then we saw Cub Swanson protect the head. We saw how that ended. So Calvin Kattar has some questions to answer. On the other hand, we have Calvin Kattar. Now we know Calvin is an exceptional boxer, and this is what he's going to want to do naturally in any of his fights. Keep it out of boxing range. He's going to want to stand on your front foot. He's going to want to keep it in the pocket, and he's going to want to take one to give one. But I think this is a very dangerous strategic plan with a man like Giga and his striking capabilities. Now, the path to victory that I see for Calvin Kattar is he has to disable the attacks of Giga, which is easier said than done. But the way that he's very light on his feet, the way that he cuts angles, and he cuts out angles around the octagon to force you into places you don't want to be. Kattar's going to have to do something about that. And the way that I think he can is by investing in the body. Take that zip, take that sting out of Giga Chikadze and make him easier to hit. Make him a more stable target. And we've seen Calvin Kattar do that before. If we have a look at the Shane Burgos fight, when he steps into range and gets into distance, he really rips into that body. And the way that he steps through with his 1-2, he then has a really nice left uppercut into the ribs. So I really think he has to try and execute on that game plan to slow Giga down a little bit in the fight. And something that Calvin Kattar does so well, and it's something so basic, quote unquote, but something you don't see an awful lot of. He has an exceptional 1-2. He has a lovely rangefinder, that jab that he uses so frequently, that he sets up that right hand with really, really nice. And he times it and really throws his whole body into it. And when he does, you'll see him step through. And like I said, that opens up the opportunity to go to the body. Or also he has really nice short elbows that he throws over the top, which he did actually land on Max Holloway. He's just a freak with a freak chin. But it's a very dangerous attack. Now, if you can get Giga slowing down and more stationary and finding this sort of slugfest, I think he'll have more success that way. Now, we know that Calvin Kattar has an undeniable boxing ability. We've seen that. And I'm really fascinated to see where his adjustments are at. But I think this is a really, really tricky assignment for him. I think this is a really tough stylistic matchup. And I think it's a very favourable matchup for Giga Chikadze stylistically. I heard something in the press conference as well the other day that worried me a little bit. An interviewer asked about if he should have utilised his wrestling a little bit more against Max. And he said something along the lines of, when I get in there, I just go a little bit wild sometimes. And he said it with a smile, and it's fun for the fans, definitely. But from a strategic standpoint, that could be a little bit dangerous. And I think it's really dangerous to have that mindset with someone so accomplished like Giga Chikadze, because that's exactly what he wants from you. He wants you marching forward. He wants that chin in the air, and he wants violence, because if it's strictly a kickboxing match, he's always going to win that. Now, I do think that for Calvin, it's going to be an idea and should be in his game plan to threaten the takedown, not even necessarily get the takedown, just give a different look. Because if he's constantly standing for a potential 25 minutes, it fully plays into the realm of Giga Chikadze. And I think it would be naive to think that he's going to outstrike him in all facets if it goes on for 25 minutes. I could be very wrong, but that's what I think. So if he threatens the takedown, it gives a different look and at least has Giga thinking. But this leads to my last point. And I don't mean to make this the Giga show, pardon the pun, but people are sleeping on Giga's grappling. If you go back and watch his videos and his interviews over the last couple of years, there's a lot of common themes to them. Number one being Beneil Dariush. Not only the godfather to his child, not only basically family to him, but one of the most accomplished and impressive grapplers in the UFC at the moment. And coincidentally, they both train out of King's MMA down in Anaheim. And Giga constantly talks about how much work that he's doing with his mate, and he's basically his best friend. And because of the fact that he's such an accomplished striker, it allows him the freedom to be able to grapple more. And when your coach and your best mate is Beneil Dariush, your levels are going to improve very, very quickly. And we saw a glimpse of this against Edson Barboza when he threatened the submission. So to conclude the video and to wrap this up, what I want to say is there is an air of confidence about Giga Chikadze that I just feel like he cannot lose at the moment in his head. He has this new confidence, this new killer instinct. Every time he goes into the cage now, he wants a finish. And his striking is at such a high level, and now he's combining it with some really dangerous ground game. It makes him a really formidable opponent, and that's why he believes he has this champion mindset. And along to that, to bolt onto the fact that he's been competing his whole life. So stepping into the cage is second nature. There's no nerves, it's what he's always done. He's been in karate tournaments where he's fought 8 times in a day. He's been in 8-man tournaments where he's had to fight 3 people in a night. This is his bread and butter. Now, despite the fact that I love Calvin Kattar and I think he's an exceptional fighter, I just think this is a different level in competition, which is why I'm going to make a bold prediction. Giga Chikadze gets it done within 5 rounds. The 3rd round to be specific, and I think he stops Calvin Kattar. I know that sounds crazy because he's never even been dropped, but I just think this is a different level of opponent to anyone he's faced before. And before people talk about Max Holloway, yes, it's a different puzzle. Max is very much the volume guy. Giga has a crazy accuracy and dexterity with his kicks that Max definitely does not have, as much as I love Holloway. And I would not be surprised, I know this is gonna sound like I'm going out of my mind, I would not be surprised if he gets it done by a submission. He knocks him down with a head kick that he doesn't see, sneaks it over his shoulder, knocks Calvin Kattar down, and then slides in a D'Arce in the scramble. That is not out of the question. But anyway, drop in the comments what you think is going to happen in the fight. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. And you know what the drill is. Please hit the like, subscribe, and the little bell icon to stay up to date with the content. Enjoy the UFC back this Saturday. I know I definitely will. Peace.